empezar esta sesión de mañana del segundo día del Congreso Internacional ORP. Hoy tenemos, como ayer, una serie de ponentes de talla internacional y empezamos hoy con nuestro presidente de la Fundación Internacional ORP, Hans-Horst Konsolensky, que nos va a hablar sobre el cambio de paradigma en prevención. Por favor, presidente, cuando quiera.
Muchas gracias, Aston. Y tengo 30 minutos, ¿no? Muy bien. Buenos días. Good morning. I'm going to give my speech in English. So please, if you need it, voy a hablar en inglés. Si necesitan auriculares, están al fondo. Sí, me alegro mucho estar con todos ustedes para presentar, yo creo que un sumario de las grandes tendencias. I'm going to now speaking Spanish. So I'm looking forward to give a presentation about some of the main trends in occupational safety and health, and hopefully will give you some input as regards the future and into which direction we need to change our way of doing prevention. So I will address very briefly what are the main challenges prevention is facing nowadays, and then focus in particular on the new innovative solutions, which are kind of, as I said, as a summary of discussions that have taken place in the context of ORP events, international congresses, the world congresses, and try to communicate these in 4 different topics. And then at the end, a discussion about, is it time to shift the paradigm in the way we actually manage prevention? So first, challenges for prevention. I think the first one you all know has been mentioned already, that almost 3 million people die every year due to their work. The important thing is that the majority, more than 85% of these fatalities are due to health impacts and not to accidents. So safety issue, so it's health rather than safety. And I show this picture of the iceberg because it's maybe not exactly 15% and 85%, but it illustrates that we are still focusing in many contexts as professionals, the top of the iceberg, the tip of the iceberg, and trying to reduce further the accident levels and maybe ignoring, like the Titanic, that actually the major issues nowadays are below the water, and this is something we have to address. So secondly, we have an epidemic, a mental health epidemic. 15% of working age adults had a mental disorder in 2019, and we know with the pandemic this has increased further. And as you can see from the figures, this has a dramatic impact on companies and on the cost, the losses for society. So the global economy is estimated that it loses $1 trillion. When we then look into the risk in the future, the European Agency for Safety and Health at Work, they run these forecast studies, very systematic, with researchers across all of Europe. And they have identified digitalization, the circular economy, green jobs, still nanomaterials, and climate change as some of the most important future risks to be addressed. So these are the challenges that we need to prepare for. And the question is, in the toolbox that we have today, are we ready to really meet these challenges, or do we need to think in different ways and use new tools? And this is what I would like to discuss now. So what are the new innovative solutions that we have that's discussed globally over the past years? So these are these 4. We need to renew our understanding of occupational safety and health. We need to commit top management. We need to measure and develop the OSH culture, which was a topic already yesterday in this room. And we need to address the digital transformation of occupational safety and health. So if we start with the understanding of OSH. In 2017, I had the pleasure to launch during the World Congress in Singapore the Vision Zero campaign of the International Social Security Association. And this has shown, because it's still very much alive, with more than 17,000 companies that have signed up and many initiatives also from the ESA, that this is a real game changer. So it brings a new understanding to occupational safety and health. And this is based on a new approach that includes both safety, health, and well-being. It's based on a common mindset, I think, that we all share, namely that all work accidents, occupational diseases, and injuries are actually preventable. The second is that we look at Vision Zero as a process, not as a quantitative target. This is sometimes misunderstood. It's a zero kind of in quantitative absolute figures, but that's not the issue. But this is because the Vision Zero concept is maybe better known even globally from the traffic area, because it was introduced there with the aim to reduce, especially in major cities like New York and Stockholm and so on, to reduce the fatal and serious accidents, traffic accidents, to zero. But we don't have this approach of a quantitative one. We look at it as a process, like a continuous improvement process. Because the aim is to develop a prevention culture that integrates all these three elements. And in order to support this process, the ESA has prepared a roadmap with 7 golden rules, and I will present them briefly. And importantly, and I think a main reason for the success of this new concept is that it's decentralized. So it's not like a standard that you have to follow from A to Z, but every company, depending on the sector, depending on the maturity, depending on their challenges, can focus on exactly those topics that they believe are the most important. So it's flexible. It's not a one-size-fits-all. It is adaptable to all sectors, to all economies. So Vision Zero is relevant for Africa as well as for Europe, as well as for Latin America. And what I especially like about it is that we here, by integrating safety, health, and well-being and focusing on the well-being dimension, we actually for the first time align our understanding of health to the World Health Organization's understanding. And Professor Mondelo mentioned this already yesterday, that health is not just the absence of infirmities, but it's actually both a physical, mental, and social state of well-being. And this is exactly what we want to achieve. And as you can see, this was agreed in 1948, so it took us quite some time to integrate that also in our way of thinking. So forget all about that you have accidents and occupational diseases that are on a list of diseases. Take a holistic view on the person, because for the person, what they're interested in is to live in a state of well-being. The 7 golden rules of Vision Zero, I start by the 4 ones I think you all know. These are the traditional concepts of modern safety and health management. You identify the hazards, you set objectives, you ensure that you have a system that works, a management system that works, be well organized. And then when you establish new workplaces, buy machinery, that you take safety and health into account. The new elements are partly that we involve the workforce, not just the safety manager, but it's the workforce that we need. If you want to build a culture, you need to integrate all of them. You have to empower all employees in order to also understand which risks they're facing and learn them, teach them, empower them to manage these risks for themselves and their colleagues on the side. So we have to improve the skills for all, and we have to invest, therefore, in people and integrate them in the continuous improvement process. The most important, because culture always comes from the top, is management. And this is often not really reflected, no, because we work on the shop floor level and forget that culture comes from the top. If people are smart, no, if they don't see these clear messages, clear commitment from top management in the health of their employees, they don't believe any programs, because then they say, oh, wow, this is just, window dressing, because really they're only running for the profit. So that's very important and an issue and a challenge for us, and I will come back to that. And just to say, Vision Zero has developed since 2017. There are a number of publications that have been prepared by the ESA, which are freely available also in Spanish. So I really invite you to study this and download them. So we talk about environmental issue, we talk about the supply chain, we talk about small businesses, which is always a big challenge. And there is a checklist in the document on your right-hand side, which gives the concept and some checklists that you can use for each of the 7 golden rules. And it's a journey. This is also what we discussed yesterday. Building culture does not happen overnight. It's a journey. And this journey started basically already in 2013 in Germany at the World Congress there, where for the first time Vision Zero was put on the table as a challenge for the OSH community. And then, as I said, in 2017, we launched the Vision Zero campaign. But just recently, 2 weeks ago, we celebrated a major event in Osaka, side by side with the World Expo for the first time in the history of the World Expo, where we had these days on safety, health, and well-being in the spirit of Vision Zero. And the next big event will be in Riyadh in 2030 at the next World Expo, because our colleagues that are here with us from Saudi Arabia, they have agreed to kindly host the next event. So a great thanks to you for continuing the journey. So, and ORP was a strong promoter of that. We organized several activities. We were involved in the executive committee, and it's really a privilege to contribute to this development. So, committing top management. As you remember, this is really the number one issue, which is often lacking in the way we do it. It's not one concept, because we see and we heard already also when we discussed this at the summit in Osaka, there can be several reasons. There can be simply the commitment to creating a safe and healthy corporate culture, which is the Vision Zero. And many companies, and I think this is what we heard from yesterday, Siemens had it in its DNA since the very beginning of the organization. Others learn it because there have been major issues, for example, the asbestos crisis, that they learned it the hard way, that almost went down as businesses, and this is something you remember then. Safety and health can really be a costly issue for companies. So, but this is one, so taking care of your employees. The other is because investing in safety and health actually pays off. So it's not a cost, it's an investment that pays off. And we have documentation, very strong international research that shows for each dollar invested or euro invested, you get $2.2 back, or euros back. So it's really a productive investment. This is something we should use also in our discussion with the top management, point to the economic impact, not seeing it as a cost, but seeing it as an opportunity to develop the company's social and economic sustainability. And then lately, we have these strengthened requirements by governments and customers and clients, investors, for safety, health, and sustainability reporting. So this is a growing tendency, and I will go a bit more into detail with that, because I think that's an interesting part also of the discussion in the future, and has to do also with the competencies that OSH professionals need to have in the future. So I take it many of you heard about ESG, which is about environmental, social, and corporate governance issues that should be taken into account. So you see these three columns, and under the column is the social one. You have here our topic that fits in there for the working conditions. And for this topic, there are several indicators. These are traditional indicators like accident rates and absenteeism and these issues. But nevertheless, there is a reporting requirement. And in Europe, we have now a standard which is increasing these requirements for companies, the larger companies, but for all their activities, also foreign activities. So that's an interesting new, it's called ESRS, and it's another movement towards focusing on reporting, making visible your, let's say, your commitment to occupational safety and health, and also your results. And this is important because these results, these reportings, are the basis for investment. Companies need investment in order to grow. And what's very interesting is there's this responsible investment initiative, which was launched by the United Nations, and this is not small. Here in October last year, this was what is it? It's 5,300 signatories. So these are BlackRock, the big investors, and the money that they have in assets equals $128 trillion US. So there's a lot of money that now is depending on that companies actually can show a clean sheet. They can demonstrate also their performance as regards and their commitment on occupational safety and health. So this has been growing, and I think this is something that we also should take into consideration in our future work. So have skills in this area. The next one is to measure and develop the occupational safety and health culture. And there again, I told you there were these 7 golden rules. So the ESA has actually also published a document about proactive leading Vision Zero indicators. Because the problem that we have when we look into indicators is that we use lagging indicators. These are indicators showing the past, showing incident rates, accidents, and so on. They don't really show the capacity of a company to manage its occupational safety and health risks. And this is what we actually would like to know. So the ESA has, for each of these 7 golden rules, 2 indicators, so it's 14 indicators, is manageable, and these 14 indicators are qualitative indicators. So they ask, for example, about if you have, before starting work, if there are these induction trainings or induction discussions and talking about what are the challenges we're facing today before you start working, and a follow-up of that. See whether the top management really is involved, walks the talk, that it's discussed at management meetings and board meetings, how the company is performing and so on. So this kind of qualitative, it's not about how many accidents, how has your accident rate developed last year compared to the year before. This is of course interesting and important, but doesn't really tell you whether the company is managing its safety, health and well-being issues. And is often very much focused on the issue of accidents still, the incident rates there. For the well-being dimension, there's also a very interesting publication by the ESA, which includes what they call a Vision Zero maturity scale model. And this is about culture. And we didn't talk that much about how you actually measure culture, but there are some very interesting concepts. And as you can see here, this leather, where a company's status is, how developed is it? So you come from the red area, where you basically do not discuss well-being in the company, up to the top level, where it's integrated in the decision-making, in the discussions, in the culture of the organization. So there are ways of measuring this also, so you can see where is your company and what do we need to do, where do we need to improve. So there are a lot of interesting models available. ORP has, of course, its 5Z model. So Aston is here with us. No, she's the mastermind, together with Pedro, on this on the ORP's 5Z business culture. And there you have the zero injuries, so reduce accidents and other work-related injuries. You have 0 illnesses, so it's like in the Vision Zero concept, protecting, promoting both physical and mental health. Then it's about waste, so we also talk about the environment, so ensuring sustainable use of natural resources. And then we talk about maybe more the human resource, the well-being related issues, so it's 0 inequality, empowering teams and promoting diversity. And finally, 0 unawareness, that everybody is informed about what's going on in the company, they can contribute and be part of this, so develop talent and being transparent. So these are, in my view, some excellent indicators, and under each of them, there's all a number, again, of mostly qualitative indicators. And at the end of the day, you can also do these charts with the ESAs, and what we have on top of that, we have the opportunity to get it audited and get a certificate. And that's also one way of trying to grab the complexity of occupational safety and health and document to the top management how the company is doing. And this is what management likes to see. They like to see their performance and like to see how it's developing and where they need to invest more. Then last but not least, the digital transformation of prevention. And this is, and has been now for a few years, a main topic at ORP events, and this discussion is really exploding. Just 2 or 3 years ago, when you went to an international occupational safety and health event, it was barely touched. Now you cannot go to any event without talking about digitalization and artificial intelligence. And the first thing is, when you talk about this topic, is you see this image. Well, I don't know if you've watched the movie Ex Machina. So this is a humanized robot, which can create emotions, but you don't really know how this works, and it's a very dramatic movie. I recommend it if you haven't seen it. And this is exact, is it a friend or is it foe? No? Can we trust this, or should we be afraid or worrisome? And now we have so much documentation, and this is what I'd like to illustrate with some cases, that tells us, no, the digital transformation of prevention is a must also if we want to come closer to our objective of Vision Zero. Because in general, if you look at our performance indicators, also the lagging ones, we can see that as regards accidents, we are plateauing. It's difficult to reduce incident rates further. And we look at the health area, it's increasing, health problems. So we need to look for support to have more resources to go into proactive, preventive activities rather than administration and let's say, compliance-related activities which take a lot of our time. So I will give you a few examples. One, which is collaborative safety, Safety 2.0, is an example from Japan. They illustrate everything. You maybe know their manga culture. No, they do everything in this kind of cartoons. And I think it's a very nice one, no? Showing that it started with that you had, let's say, the robot or the machine, and the human is dangerous. No, the lion is the machine, it's dangerous. So the next step was to say, okay, we build a cage around the robot, so it could work, the robot, without being able to impact the human and create accidents. And nowadays, if you now look into this collaborative safety, with the help of sensors and ICT, you establish a relationship between the two that avoids that, for example, accidents happen. No? There's an example, it's difficult to see, from a very large construction company, from tunnel construction, where they have installed sensors and alarms and so on. So when, for example, a heavy machine comes close to the worker, the machine stops and there is an alarm. No? Because the worker has a sensor in his helmet or in other places, so there is a communication between the machine and the worker. And this makes, of course, these challenging work environments much more safe. So it's just one example. The other is the digital monitoring and support systems. And this is an example from Hong Kong. Hong Kong is very advanced. It has this smart city approach, so they have all the bandwidth they need. And they use it really systematically. And you see a lot of startups there. We just saw in Osaka, they had an exhibition there, and there was a whole group of companies, universities and so on, showing their cases. Here's just an example of a smart helmet. And this smart helmet has different functions. Again, through sensors and so on, it can communicate if there is a problem, if, for example, there's an accident, so there's a direct call to an emergency center. It can also survey the health condition of the worker, and it can communicate, like in the tunnel example, it can communicate with the machinery, so there's no accident risk. So the question is, why do we still use stupid helmets instead of smart helmets? Now, because it's, if you look at prevention, before the helmet, there was no helmet. Then they got the helmet, okay, let's protect ourselves with the helmet, and helmets have saved lives. Smart helmets save even more lives, as you can see, because they can actually communicate and protect the worker. So I really hope that within the next 5 years, we will see this trend towards using smart helmets and saving lives. Then we have the predictive digital solutions, and here I have just one example of a camera that observes the workplace and identifies if there are some risks that could become an accident. For example, the lack of wearing a helmet, or that there is some objects are on the floor that can cause a slip, trip, and fall. So with the sensor can help to avoid that accidents happen in the future. And the final one is the digital OSH management. I think you all know Saventis, and we have the exhibition there. But I just would like to show these two examples that really fascinate me, because it's a management tool and does all the administrative things. But what it really also does is that it can do analytics based on iPhone photos. You take a photo of the workplace, and it offers you within seconds a list of different risks that you have to take care of, and it gives it even a rating. So then the OSH professional or the worker himself can check and see, what do I have to be careful about? And why is this important? Because as OSH professional, you will always have a background in certain parts of the safety and health field. It can be an ergonomic background, a safety background, can be an biological hazard background, chemical background. So you will always look at a workplace in a channel view. You will not in a tunnel view. You will be limited by what you see, because it's important to you. It relates to your knowledge. But with this, you get a full-scale picture of what are the risks at the workplace. So this is a great help for the professional. And the same also then, you can have a video. Again, you just take it with your iPhone. You take a video. This video is analyzed here of ergonomics. And as the next, you get, again, a proposal for which are the postures that you have to look into. And instead of working a whole week on image analysis as an ergonomist, you can do this in 5 minutes. And you get a 200-page report with all the details built on international ergonomic standards. So this is really amazing. So the future of prevention is digital. The question is, are you prepared? Are you ready for that? No? And so my real invitation is really to take advantage of this fantastic movement, because this is going to change our life to the better. As preventionists, our impact when it comes to building a prevention culture will be much stronger, because we can be freed from many, many administrative and heavy routines and paperwork, and focus on what we really would like to do, which is to enhance the prevention culture in our organization, to discuss with the top management how indicators, KPIs are developing, to talk to colleagues about and teach them and inform them about all these new tools, and so that they themselves can be in charge of their safety, health, and well-being. So this is the question, time for a paradigm shift. First of all, I think we have to recognize that we have a historic opportunity, and COVID has helped that, because COVID really showed the importance of managing risks at work, and here it was the virus risk, and put it on the top of the agenda, because suddenly you couldn't work, or you could work only in these and these ways. And in this way also we discussed for the first time, I think, at society level really seriously the issue of, but it's a window. It closes very fast, but then is the next threat to humanity. And we have also that Vision Zero in the meantime has become a real strategy. The European Union has integrated zero accidents in its fatal accidents in its strategic plan, and also promotes safety, health, well-being. The ILO has, 2 years ago, the decision of saying that occupational safety and health actually should be a fundamental right and principle and right at work, which also strengthens the position of occupational safety and health in the global debate. And very importantly, as I mentioned before with this example about the ESG, that now that at company level, it's understood that if you want to have a sustainable development of the social, economic way, also when it comes to recruitment and maintenance of your workforce, this is a critical issue. So we have a historic opportunity as a new paradigm. We have a new understanding, which is to the objective of occupational safety and health, of prevention, is to promote a healthy and sustainable organizational culture based on the ILO's fundamental rights. So it's a principle, the ISHA's Vision Zero strategy, so this holistic view, and the UN's, of course, SDGs for 2030. So it's a culture we want to develop. It's not just talking about safety and health. It's really developing an organizational culture. What do we need to do? This is my final comments. What do we need to do as professionals? First of all, we have to enhance our capacities to protect and promote health and well-being. So we have to move some of the resources from the safety, from the accident prevention, to promoting health and well-being, including the psychosocial issues. 50% of all absenteeism is due to stress, so it's an important issue for companies. Then we have to increase our competences and collaboration regarding the sustainability reporting. We have to understand how it works, because this is a great discussion opener with the top management, because this is related to future investment and to the companies, in this way also future. Then the capability to measure and document culture and performance. It's not enough just to look into accident figures and get a nice chart and say everything is fine, because behind that you can have like the iceberg. No? There can be a lot of problems that you are not really grabbing, and therefore it's really important to try to establish in your company a systematic, through 5Z, through ESA's indicator or others. And then, most importantly, I think now it's really high time to build up competences regarding the digital transformation of prevention. This is the future of prevention, so please join this. See what Sabentis can offer, and many others are already using this, and I think this will help us to come a step closer to our vision of zero accidents and ill health at work. With this, thank you very much. I'm on time. Thank you.